It is not often that a 4-round pro debut fight ends up getting co-feature status, but when it's one of the best amateur fighters of this generation turning pro, things change. Guillermo Rigondeaux has been waiting for this moment, and now he'll face Juan Noriega to start a career many feel is destined to be dynamic. For most Cuban amateur stars, a moment like this will never arrive. Years of sweat and sacrifice go into becoming a world-class fighter, yet the reward attached to that risk isn't always there. Now for Rigondeaux, the sky's the limit. Free from communism and diving headfirst into the pure, raw marketplace of pro boxing, Claudio Trejos has his story.
The rhythmic sound of the speed bag echoes in a gym located in southwest Miami, where Guillermo Rigondeaux, who is considered the best Cuban amateur boxer of recent times, lays the foundation for his professional career. The first time ESPN interviewed Rigondeaux was in 2007 in Havana, Cuba. He was the star of the Cuban national boxing team, the hopeful to bring back a win from the Pan Am Games in Rio de Janeiro. In 2000, at age 20, he had been crowned national champion. Only 6 months later, he won his first Olympic gold. Then he repeated the feat in Athens 2004. During the 2007 interview, Rigondeaux was asked if he would become a professional boxer.
Here we don't practice professional boxing. In order to fight professionally, you have to leave the country, because here in Cuba it is not allowed.
Este domingo los boxeadores Guillermo Rigondeaux y Erislan.
But during the Pan Am Games, Rigondeaux failed to show up at the weigh-in. Rumors that he had defected spread and were quickly picked up by the media. The following day, when he made it back to the Cuban camp, he said he had spent the night at a bar.
In Cuba, I could no longer box. They didn't allow me back on the national team. Many of my teammates were not allowed to talk to me, not because of them, but because they were prohibited to do so. Even those who were my best friends stayed away. It's a political thing. If they see them talking to me, they could get penalized. They took my car away, my most prized possession. Many wouldn't come close to my house because they were scared. A lot of people told me to leave because I was not going to amount to anything here. I had to hide out. I had to avoid people. I nearly went crazy. I decided to flee the country by my own means. So now I'm here to show what I'm made of and to win a world championship.
Earlier this year, Rigondeaux boarded a speedboat and headed towards Cancun. His goal, Miami, where he would contact his ex-teammate Yuriorkis Gamboa, who had defected in 2006 and was already fighting professionally. Rigondeaux left behind Cuba, his wife, his son, and his whole family.
It's a huge decision because you cannot return to that country. It is very difficult because you don't know how long it will be before you see your family again. It is so difficult living behind your family, but what's done is done. You have to go on with your life. Let's see how many fights it takes for me to win a title, since I've already made a name for myself. One step at a time, by stages. Right now, I'm at 0, so I'll just have to prove who I am.
We're talking about 2-time world amateur champion, 2-time Olympic gold champion. I mean, he has all the credentials in the world. There's no reason why he should not become world champion in the 122-pound division. I don't care who's there. Juan Manuel Lopez, Israel Vázquez, Rafael Marquez, they have not seen this type of fighter. I can guarantee you that. This is definitely the most decorated Cuban amateur fighter that has ever jumped into the program.
The long road taken by Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now he arrives here at the moment of his pro debut. And let's bring in Claudia. And Claudia, you have spent a lot of time with Guillermo recently. Now there's a lot of pressure, a lot of hype, also away from his family. The pro debut has arrived. What's his mentality as we stand here tonight?
Well, Joe, one of the amazing things about this fighter is the fact that he's used to being away from his family. He's extremely focused. This is what he's dreamt of. So in reality, this is really not affecting him. I think after the fight will be a whole different ballgame.
And many expect that to come soon. Thanks, Claudia. Well, if you're wondering, his name has been pronounced Rigondeaux through most of his amateur career. But in prepping for this fight, the camp was very clear in saying that the preference is Rigondeaux. So from this point forward, let it be known it's Guillermo Rigondeaux. And here he is, 28 years old, 5'5 and a half, 122 and a quarter pounds, making his pro debut here tonight in Miami. And he will do so against Juan Noriega, 24 years old, 5'6", 120 and a half pounds, a record of 3-2, coming off of a loss that happened just 15 days ago. Sam Burgos, the referee.
You know, Joe, everybody talks about all the pressure on Rigondeaux. What about the pressure on Noriega fighting this fighter and having to take this fight on 3 days' notice? I think that pressure on Noriega is going to be a lot more difficult to deal with than anything Rigondeaux is dealing with, at least tonight.
Left hand to the body from the gold medalist, and scores a knockdown just 19 seconds into his pro career.
As I said, forget about pressure on Rigondeaux. It's Noriega I'd be concerned about.
Another series of left hands. Rigondeaux, good body shot that time.
Well, Rigondeaux may be the one who came all the way over from Cuba, but no mistake about it, he is the host here tonight. And the guest, only a guest, is Noriega.
And he may not be long for this part.
Well, no, I don't think Noriega's an overnight guest.
No, he's not an overnight guest. More like a pizza delivery boy just showing up and ringing the bell and then out of there.
Except at least the pizza delivery guy gets a tip.
Exactly.
Right now you can see Rigondeaux is just looking to set up a power punch. Pawing with that lead right hand from the southpaw position that Rigondeaux fights from. Pawing with that lead punch and looking for the power punch. Looking for the straight left hand where he can turn his leg into it. Where he can turn right there as he misses. Where he can turn his back into that punch. No doubt about it from what you see there. Rigondeaux looking for the knockout.
Patiently stalking with that cocked and loaded left hand.
Right now, Rigondeaux getting away with pawing with that jab because his opponent Noriega is intimidated. He's laying back.
To the body,
he's not taking advantage of that. You can see the intimidation all over the face and body of Noriega as he paws with his lead left hand from the orthodox position. And because he's pawing, well, like I said before, Rigondeaux doesn't pay a price when he stands in front and pushes his jab out.
Noriega tries to come in with a straight right. Rigondeaux comes back with a short left of his own and then cupping with that lead right hand, just pushing him to the side.
Not even a cup, you know, that was on purpose. That's all that experience and calmness of Rigondeaux. What he did was he missed with the punch, but then he left his hand out there and he steered Noriega. He steered him off balance.
Wobbles his legs here at the close of round number one.
Take a look at the knockdown from the last. First of all, look at the feet. They were tangled up a little bit, and they're tangled up again right there with the southpaw. And the straight left hand catches Noriega. Take another look right there. And again, the straight left hand, the power punch for the southpaw Rigondeaux, the punch that he can turn his back into. But quite often you see with an orthodox fighter in the southpaw, feet will get tangled. The lead right foot of the southpaw gets tangled with the lead left foot of the orthodox fighter.
Round number two. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you here in Miami. The much anticipated pro debut of the 2000 and 2004 Olympic gold medalist Guillermo Rigondeaux. In that first round, according to our punch track counters, Rigondeaux had a 28-0 connect advantage. A shutout.
The 21-year-old Noriega is 7 years younger in age than Rigondeaux, but in experience, he's light years behind.
That counter right hook was an example. And there's a straight left that got in there. Now a left to the body.
And again, Rigondeaux, because of the level of opposition or the lack of level of opposition in front of him tonight, well, he's able to stand in front and just measure shots. Just look for the spot. Again, he's looking mostly for that lead left hand, that power punch from the southpaw. You know, a lot of times you want to see a southpaw fighter use that right hand more, Joe. You want to see him use that jab, set up hooks, do 90% of the work. But right now, all of the work, the effective work, the damaging work, well, that's being set up by Rigondeaux for the backhand. Again, that punch, the power punch, downstairs and upstairs. I'd like to see if Noriega had a little bit of confidence, which he doesn't right now, to let that lead left hand go. I'd like to see how Rigondeaux would deal with a snapping left hand, especially when he has the habit of not only keeping the lead right hand low, which he's getting away with obviously right now, but again, there's no snap from Rigondeaux with that jab. There's the right hook from the southpaw. Always a difficult punch, being that the orthodox fighter just isn't used to seeing that punch come from that angle.
That right hook snapped like a viper coming in on Noriega.
And again, a lot of parrying, a lot of posing by Rigondeaux, and he's able to get away with that. You see a deer in headlights in Noriega. I mean, Noriega is literally closing his eyes as punches come.
End of round two.
I talked about Noriega being a deer in headlights. Well, watch right here. The headlights are in his eyes. And right there, he closes his eyes. You can see it right there. And he gets caught with a right hook. He's lucky that he actually didn't go to sleep right there, not seeing that punch coming.
So Noriega stood up to that in round two. Very fast right hook there. Over 400 amateur fights for Rigondeaux. Two-time world amateur champ, two-time Olympic gold, and now at age 28, and keep that in mind, 28 years old, his pro debut.
And again, you see the eyes of Noriega closing. And I'd like to see, quite honestly, Rigondeaux close this fight out.
Well, obviously, he could do it at his choosing.
You see that his temperament is not really to be an aggressive fighter, to say the least. He's not a really front-end fighter. What I mean by that is a guy who really sets up his offense. And the referee doing the right thing there.
Sam Burgo saying, you know what? I mean, this is useless here because Juan Noriega has absolutely no chance whatsoever. The gap in skill was just too great to overcome. And Noriega landed 2 of 43 punches in the fight, according to our punch track counters.
Well, just a common sense, really a common sense and compassionate move by the referee. Because I had just said a couple seconds later, basically, I was looking for this fight to be close out. But what I was also saying was that it's evident that Rigondeaux very calm in there, very skillful, and also, of course, had the right opponent in front of him. But you can see that he's not a fighter that does it on the front end, Joe. A guy that really creates his offense a lot. He likes to do it on the back end. He likes to do it where he can counterpunch, like Floyd Mayweather a little bit, where he gets his opponent to come to him and then he takes advantage. And he really didn't get an opportunity with Noriega being so intimidated.
Well, let's take you back through the action of the pro debut of Rigondeaux. We'll start in round number 1. Scored a knockdown very early into this fight.
And again, you could see Rigondeaux doing something that he won't be able to do throughout a lot of his career in the pros, just posing with his punches. And you can see he's looking for the power hand for the southpaw, the backhand, the left hand. And there he switches up a little bit, catches Noriega with his eyes closed with the right hook. Again, a punch from the southpaw that an orthodox fighter has a lot of trouble really compensating and dealing with, because he's not used to seeing that right hand come from that angle.
Well, what you're about to hear from the lips of Bob Alexander will be a common refrain in the course of the next year. Here are their official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Fontainebleau Hotel on Miami Beach, Florida, your referee in charge, Sam Burgos, stops this bout at 1 minute 9 seconds of the third round. Your winner by TKO, Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
Teddy, many are going to ask in the course of the coming days, all right, so the American fight fan has now gotten their taste of what Guillermo Rigondeaux looks like as a pro. Give me your best guess as where you think he is headed in his career. In a 122-pound division that includes